Still got this whack chick. I want
look. Bring black Zoom voice, please.
Right. What up? Welcome back to another episode of Cultivated Ignorance. I am Will, the host.
I'm Mike, the favorite host.
And today we are joined by amazing Black women, spoken word sensation and author, Miss Kyla Jenée Lacey, along with model, photographer, videographer, co-host of the Hilltop Glove podcast, Ms. Tamiya Allen. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Today we are going to be talking about something I know hardly nothing about, and Mike says I should definitely know more about, which is Black feminism. So it should be an interesting conversation where I'm sure I'll get beat up on.
Hopefully.
No, I won't beat you up.
Well, she won't. She won't.
Beat that nigga ass. Yes.
So yeah, man, today we're just going to ask, why Black men who, wish to be in company, in community with Black women and loving relationships with Black women are so kind of resistant and hesitant to learn about Black feminism. So we're going to jump into that in a second. But as always, don't forget, we broke. So
10 kids each.
Right. Don't forget to join our Patreon if you got $5. If you don't got $5, then tough titty. But if you got $5, www.patreon.com/cultivatedignorance. Dope shit on there. We're gonna be doing more exclusives because HBO is dropping more shows, and
Euphoria is back, kids.
Euphoria is back.
Euphoria is back.
Y'all watch Euphoria too?
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Do I breathe air too? Like, okay.
Recommendation. Virgo.
I feel like some people don't watch Euphoria just for fear that their kids might turn into people.
Oh no! Listen, I do drugs because I want to. Euphoria didn't have nothing. Nancy Reagan told me no, and here I am, a pothead. So,
this day and age is like, who doesn't? I just assume everybody does until they tell me no, thank you.
You don't smoke weed? That's crazy. Why? Why?
Why?
Tell them that it's human nature. It's not. It's not.
Yeah, man, we're gonna be doing interviews on there. If you want to catch any of our exclusive stuff, www.patreon.com/cultivatedignorance. I forgot the website for a hot second.
You piece of shit.
Are you high?
You might be.
No, I'm not. I don't believe in that stuff.
Like Jesus? Or because it's the burning bush. So
that's a lot. So yeah. Why don't y'all tell me why I'm a piece of shit? Because I don't support Black feminism.
Well,
why don't you tell me why you don't support Black
feminism?
Right,
I was about to ask the same thing. Why don't you?
Mike,
that's the first
Mike, help me out already. Help me out.
Show me on the doll where it hurts, where they touched you. Okay.
All right, Mike, step in. I'm already scared.
Go ahead. Come on now. Show me on the doll where feminism touched you.
It's not that I don't support Black feminism, as I think it is with a lot of Black men. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow we feel disconnected from it because I guess it's just never really affected us like that.
It has.
Well, I guess in our minds, in the forefront of our minds, like it's never.
It affects you positively and as well as negatively, right? Because if you weren't affected by it, you wouldn't care about it at all. And trust me, my Twitter, they be upset about my Black feminist ass. So yeah, I'm all kinds of hoes and dumb bitches on Twitter, which of course, because misogyny isn't real. So that's why they don't call me those things.
Complete myth, absolutely. I guess we can start like asking this though, because I think this is an important key to this whole conversation.
What is?
Wait,
no, I didn't hear what you said.
I was saying that I want to ask this question to both of y'all. To kind of contextualize the thing. So, Will, what do you think about when you hear feminism? And then y'all, what do y'all think about when y'all hear feminism? So, Will, you go first.
I guess when I think about when I hear feminism is like equality, equal pay. Just in the middle.
You didn't say it like that.
Just run.
Same shit we got.
like run-of-the-mill feminism, just like
Boo, equal rights,
it's not boo. It's
bodily autonomy.
okay, when you say it like that, you make me sound terrible.
Nah, you make you sound terrible. I was mocking what you was doing.
Oh God.
I was just trying to search for the words, okay?
Mhm.
But yeah, equal rights, equal pay. It's more so expanded to like more so body autonomy and stuff like that. Because in the last few years, I've recognized that like niggas is mad controlling over women's bodies, which is
That's crazy.
But yeah, so
That's crazy that you're just now seeing that, It's been
yeah, I mean,
years.
I guess like it's crazy, but like I feel like it hasn't been an issue it hasn't been a known issue like to the public, not me personally, to the public as of recently.
Well, I think that's the main problem right there
I agree.
Most men don't think it's a problem until the public makes it a problem. And it's like you're around Black women all the time. So how do you not notice these things? Do you not care? Or are you not considerate? Or are you just blind?
Could be blind. Could be that I guess you haven't heard as a Black man many stories about it with people who are close to you. You know what I mean? Maybe women not wanting to share their stories or
I think there's something to be said for that. I think there's a generational difference and the willingness for Black women to talk about these issues as well. But there's also socialization that women have succumbed to that says we're not supposed to talk about these things. We're not allowed to talk about these things. Or if these things happen to us, we are somehow at fault for these things, which aids the silencing of these stories, which perpetuates men thinking that this shit is okay.
Or that it's not like even bothering us. Like, no, this is a daily issue.
What's so confusing is like, so like, even if like the woman in question is not calling herself a feminist, I still see these things vocalized online and in person. And even still, like, it seems like a instant, if they do hear feminism in the in whatever they're saying, especially, there's an instant like visceral reaction to just like dismiss or refute it or find some kind of hole in like the whatever they're trying to say, like instantly. And I'm wondering, like, because of course misogyny is a thing, but like even those who actually, I feel like those who even maybe consider themselves respectful of women, even with them, it's like a instant like, but I don't know, like, or like an instant like, I gotta defend men in this whole instance of her saying something about a man, even if I don't even know the man personally. If that makes sense.
So like I guess I can speak on that, at least from a man's point of view, because I know I struggle with that. And I think a lot of guys struggle with that, especially in like, I'm not going to say like sexual assault, but like where guys like are just overly aggressive towards women who like are just showing off their body. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, well, you dressing like that, such and such and such. Like you trying to get recognized or whatever. Like not saying that it's okay or whatever, but it's like, oh, well, she is showing off her body. So like, isn't she trying to get attention? Like that is the initial thought in my head, honestly. And I understand that that's wrong. You know what I mean?
So how do you want women to dress when we go?
Right.
How do you want us to dress?
I don't have a real idea.
No. I mean, I'm saying, but you have an idea of how we shouldn't dress. So how should we dress?
No, I'm not. I don't have an idea of how you should.
Well,
you just said
there is I think you can attest to a certain outfit creating a certain reaction, right? So what outfit won't create that reaction?
There actually is no good answer for that because I've seen women in everything covered and niggas still go crazy.
So look where we are. We're stuck in the middle of everything.
At least I want to look like glitter at the very least. If I'm gonna get harassed.
I'm only speaking to understanding, not really even understanding, recognizing the fact that niggas have I guess irrational thoughts or
I think
reaction towards the way women dress.
So part of the problem has been consistently, women have always been responsible for men's behaviors. And that is a big issue that is in the home, in sex, in violence.
The workplace environment.
Right. Where like somebody asked me once, I was in a domestic violence relationship, and somebody said, well, what did you do to make him hit you? And I was like, shit, I didn't duck. I mean, I bobbed when I should have weaved. Like, I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah.
But somehow I was responsible for another adult's behavior.
Mhm.
He wasn't responsible for it, or women being responsible for men's behavior with their dress. And not to say that there isn't something alluring about certain things and we all aren't, aware of these things, but at what point are you responsible for your behavior? Like, additionally, like, well, if he cheats on you, it's your fault. At what point are men allowed to be culpable for their own actions? And, it's a very weird thing for a group of people who want to lead to always blame women for their behaviors.
I completely agree. I'm not saying that men should be excused for their behaviors whatsoever. I'm just saying that I understand how things can be alluring. That's probably more accurate than anything.
For me, it's like I model, so you're not the first guy that actually said that when a woman posts something, they're trying to get a guy's attention. When I post something, it's for myself. It ain't nothing for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
It's to make me feel good, because you don't know how long it took for me to get that self-confidence. So I think it's crazy that y'all make women feel bad for their bodies or how they want to post stuff or be perceived on social media when you don't even know their story or their history.
That's accurate. Maybe men just, I guess, I don't know. I can't speak for all men because even as I say it, it doesn't make sense. But I don't know the way our programming works as to why we think women do stuff for a reaction. And like, because I feel like even a man who's posting something, well, I guess you're doing it for yourself. I was just about to say a man who's dressed to the nines, like he posts himself in a suit. Oh, you really are just doing that for yourself. So I don't know why we don't think the same way y'all are, you know what I mean?
Probably because you guys were never held accountable for anything like us. Like when a father has a son and a daughter, they treat them totally different. So it's probably you've been raised like that.
Could be.
I think what's an interesting dynamic between men and women is that women get held for things they don't do, and men get excused for things they do. Because so many women I know have experiences with being slut shamed by their family or accused of having sex with people that they never had sex with. But yet men get the grace of being absolved from actual behaviors. And it's just very interesting when you talk about privilege and entitlement and like how men can't see that.
The whole abortion thing right now is just really crazy to me. Like, how are you going to make a law about a female's body when you don't even know her situation or anything? Like, that just doesn't make any sense at all. And the fact that they're trying to push it is just, it just shows you what they think of us.
I said something. Are y'all familiar with For Harriet, the YouTube channel?
I was on it once.
You were? Oh, what? I got
One of my poems was on it years ago.
Oh, nice. I was in a Zoom meeting with Kim one time, and we were talking about
Kimberly Crimshaw?
No, Kim Foster, the host, the owner of For Harriet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wish I was in a Zoom call with Kimberly Crimshaw. That would be.
I have been.
Oh, see, of course you have. Lit, wonderful. I was saying that I think that I don't know if I want to call it a full mental disorder, but there's something with men where we don't realize like our domination of women ultimately hurts us because it makes women less trusting of us. And yet so many of us insist on dominating women. And I think a lot of that comes from a lot of us trying to aspire to the system of patriarchy, not like a patriarch in a house per se, but like the system of patriarchy. We're trying to aspire to that. But as regular as men, like we don't have the resources to have something like that. But because you're socialized from the get-go to chase that, you're in this constant, like, irreconcilable mental state of trying to be a tyrant that you don't have the power to sustain. So you end up hurting yourself by hurting the woman around you, as well as men as well. Like, you end up hurting everybody around you. In your attempt to dominate the world, you're just hurting people, and therefore people don't trust you, and therefore they're hurting you in return.
I think, there may be such a visceral reaction to feminism by Black men because Black men are already in the unique position. Like, you've heard the statement, Black men are the white women of Black people. Yeah. And I explained this to my friend literally earlier today. I said, you have to think of it as a plus and minus system, where white men have two pluses because being a male is a plus and being white is a plus. And Black men have one plus because they're male, but a minus because they are Black. Right. And white women have a plus because they're female, because they're white, but a minus because they are female, whereas Black women have two minuses. And so that kind of explained a bit of the intersectionality for him better. But part of it is that, Black men have been oppressed, and I can, as a feminist, I can say that Black men have been oppressed, and even to a certain extent oppressed in a way that I haven't. But the difference is their oppression is not related to their maleness nearly as much as related to their Black maleness. Like, their oppression is based on the fact that they are a Black male in particular, not that they are a male. So versus for me, my oppression is based on being Black and being a woman. And a lot of times, because Black men have been oppressed, any usurping, or what they view as a usurping of their power, is always going to be deemed a threat. If I'm already in a position that I'm not in power, the little power that I do have, when you take that from me, or when you attempt to deflate that power, is a threat, even if it's something that is better for the Black man in the long run. It's still considered a threat because it is a threat to my power station.
So I agree with that. And what I get and this is why I want to ask y'all's definition of feminism, because what's so strange to me is, like, I get that what you just said, and then I read and then I watch Black feminism, and it's all about that, as well as building up everybody. Because who said that? If you start at the bottom of the totem pole, like, you pull everybody up. I forgot who said that. But everything I've learned,
somebody smart.
You're right. Everything I've learned through Black feminism, I can apply to myself to better myself, as well as those around me. I can't name one thing that I haven't felt like I couldn't apply to myself. And so it's like, what are y'all hearing? What do y'all think when y'all hear Black feminism? Because I see so many men, when they hear feminism, they automatically shut it down. They assume that it's man-made.
Right. Because it's you're right. And not only that, like, when we think about any sort of pushback against the power structure, how hate is always used as the tool of rebuttal. How anger is always used as the tool of rebuttal, because anger and hate are seen as irrational things, when in fact they're not necessarily irrational. They're very important. It's important to know what you hate and what you do not like, and to the point that moves you to do something about it. So we talk about white supremacy, and how, like, one of the things, like, oh, you hate white people. No, I hate white supremacy. And you seem to conflate the two, because you understand that your whiteness gives you things that my Blackness doesn't. And so with men, it's, you hate men. No, if I hated men the way that I would like to, I would have nothing to do with them. But I tell you what, you're not bringing your best people. You're not bringing your best people. But there is something to be said of, every single time I want to hold a group accountable, that I must hate them. But this is a very, very interesting thing, coming from the same group who is more likely to rape me, or, like, who's in the position to harm more, Black men or Black women. But somehow, the moment a Black woman is too vocal about the harm that's being done, she's the hateful one.
Yeah, I really just want to see I think the word feminism is really what guys just don't like. I just think they just don't like the word. It's because they don't understand, like he said earlier, they just don't understand the complexity of it all. Once you break it down to them, I feel like they'll understand more and they won't, just add it to that word. It's just the word.
I had something else to that, but Will, what do you think about what he just said?
I think we are extremely dismissive of, I guess, not just Black feminism, but just Black women in general. I can agree with all of these things, but I think it also, I don't want to say it's on Black women because that's completely unfair. But I think men, just as white people, they just don't feel the empathy towards it that they should. And so when you're not, I guess, going through it, or at least that you can't see that it affects you like that, you're disconnected from it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to feel like you should learn from it. You know what I mean? It's just like being uninterested in anything else that somebody else who's super passionate about it feels. If you don't feel it, or if you don't see any connection to it, like, why would you want to learn?
Right. You just want to live in ignorance, kind of like.
Honestly, like ignorance is easier than just about anything.
Cultivated ignorance, in fact.
That's why you here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm spinning.
Just walk away. Just go. Just leave.
I'm spinning. I'm back.
Just leave. Like, you're good now.
No, man. I mean, to learn and to get out of that ignorance, it takes effort, and that's a lot of effort people aren't willing to give.
You said something super critical. That's one thing. So that's one question we're going back and forth on. So you said the problem shouldn't be on Black women, right? As far as fixing this whole issue, this whole situation. But if Black men don't know any better, and we are socialized the way we are, and we are being taught by other Black men who also are socialized the way they are, like, how can we get better if some Black women, I don't think this is every Black woman's duty, but like, how can we get better if some Black woman is not educating us on any of these things?
I think one of the main things is, it's not that you don't know any better, it's that you don't want to know any better. Because I can't have a teachable moment with a sleep student. Like, I can't have a teachable moment with somebody who's like this, you know what I'm saying? And so, but part of the problem is that you don't value my lessons, because a lot of it is defaultism. Like, and when a lot of times people make themselves the default in somebody else's experience. And so when you make yourself the default in somebody's experiences, one, you're clearly in the position to oppress them, but two, you don't allow them to be credible sources to what happens to them. So it's like, I can't value your opinion on you, and I make the parallels between racism and sexism a lot, because they both affect me very much. And I know we talked earlier about, like, Black men are not oppressed simply because they are, like, their maleness is not what it oppresses them. It's their Black maleness in particular. Versus me, I receive, a treatment a certain way because I am a woman in particular, and I receive treatment because I'm a Black woman. And most importantly, my Black womanness is the twofold why I'm treated this way. So, like, I am not considered intelligent enough to tell my own story. And that involves the socialization of thinking that women are not intelligent, and even more socialization of Black women are not intelligent. And Black men carry this. And to say that to say that Black men don't think of white women in a different way, socialized as they do Black women, is just absolutely incorrect. So a lot of it is, are you willing to view me as somebody who knows what I'm talking about me?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And when you talk about it, it's like, are you going to believe what I'm saying? Like, why do I even have to tell you this when it's been generations of Black women being abused and not accepted, how far are you as a Black man willing to defend me or the things that I don't have? You see what I'm saying? How far are you guys willing to fight for us?
This is a great question. And I think, so this is kind of the tricky part. One thing that doesn't get talked about enough is one of my favorite quotes from Bell Hooks is that patriarchy knows no gender. Anybody can perpetuate it. I can say, I don't know if I would say in defense of
including children.
Including children. One of the hardest part of being a man is when you are trying to unsubscribe from patriarchy, or even if you don't know that word, like just trying to unsubscribe from all these like, harmful things that you do towards women. You're trying to divest from that, but like women are expecting you to live up to that shit. Like there's women
That's
who
true. That's absolutely true.
There's women who absolutely put men on the pedestal for being the most patriarchal, tyrannical, dominating beings ever. So when you're trying to get away from that, and she's like, "What the fuck?" and she's calling you a bitch ass nigga and all kind of shit like that. Like, I think what doesn't get really talked about enough, and Bell Hooks used to talk about this all the time, is that it's very hard as a man living in the world that we are living in right now to divest from that when everyone is perpetuating it towards you constantly. Like you're constantly.
Okay, and that's fair. That's absolutely fair. That's absolutely real and absolutely fair. And I think, I mean, and for women, it's very difficult for women to get away from that because we are consistently socialized to think that we are less than men and we need to be led by men. Right. And even though we have the same amount of limbs as men, we're supposed to serve them. So, and there's so much of this risk reward behavior that women endure. Like, okay, well, if I risk speaking up for myself, I may lose favor. But if I play into this, I'm so lovable, because I think that's one of the weirdest ways that women are socialized, is we're socialized to think that our love is immediately attached to a man. And I don't think that men are socialized that way. I think men are socialized more to be upstanding so that they can find someone that they want to love. But women are socialized to be loved. Men get the option to choose it. So it's like everything I've done, it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. When are you getting married and having kids?
And being submissive.
And it's like, I've done a lot of things. Like, why can't I just be happy with the things that I've done? But for women in particular, you are only as important as the people who share last names with you. You're only as important as the people who come in and out of your vagina. Like, your existence is attached to somebody else's, versus men, they don't have to be attached to another entity in order to exist. Everybody piles onto them or it is attracted to them, whereas women have to be, chosen. I think that's, if that makes any sense. And so I think that has a lot to do with why women are so quick to play into the patriarchy, because there's a danger of not playing into the patriarchy, because you're taught that your ability to be loved is very much attached to if a man does it. It has nothing to do necessarily with you and what you want and your goals in your life. It does a man want me? And so if I'm going against the very goal, then how am I going to achieve it? How am I going to have it?
I think I agree with a vast majority of what you're saying, but I will say I don't think most men, I think things are changing now, but historically speaking, I don't think most men are raised with actual love so much as just like value in a way that women aren't assigned value. Like, I think men are raised with like, you got to be powerful and strong enough to take care of, whoever's around you.
And yes, I agree with that. But I'm saying in the context of like, their love is allowed to be a bit more internal than women's love. Women's love is attached to somebody else. It's got to be attached to a man to be valid.
We're always giving it, supplying it, or
you have to have kids in order to have good cooch, like that's like a weird thing too. Like, that's like a real thing. Like, okay, a woman over 30 without kids, oh, her vagina must be trash. Like, nobody says that to men. Nobody says like, oh, a man over 30 with no kids, his dick must be trash. Like, what?
Like,
Does
you
that
think that's all
mean?
we're worth? Do you really think that's all we're worth?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think no, I think y'all absolutely right, especially with the kids thing. I think with men, like we get clowned if we don't have a wife or a girlfriend by a certain age. Like we're deemed like not, strong enough or like good looking enough to get a woman. But like that's different. That's a different type of scrutiny, I
But
think.
we're put out to pasture.
Uh,
After a certain age, we're not lovable anymore. Our window of opportunity, like ageism really affects women, and it definitely affects men, but ageism definitely affects women way more. The moment you're not fertile is the moment you're no longer sexy. The moment you no longer can produce another human is the moment that you lose the best qualities that you have in yourself.
but do y'all think that's changing lately? Like with so many women
I
being
think so.
Mm,
I think Beyonce, Beyonce's 40, and Beyonce's still very much the standard of beauty
mhm.
for so many people. She's very much held as one of the most beautiful women in the world, and she's 40 years old, and she is shaking and moving. And I do think that there is kind of like a shift in age reverence. My mid 30s is not my mama's mid 30s.
Mhm.
I agree.
Probably because, I'm an artist and I'm flighty, and she was, a mother with 2 kids. So, but yeah, I do think that there's that. That's a progress in the right direction.
I just don't think it's moving fast enough, because I feel like kids are still rushing to have kids and be in a relationship and get married and have a house. And it's like, whoa, they're still instilling this into you. Like, they're still drilling this into your brain. Like,
My cousin, she's 25. She was like, I'm gonna be married by 27. You're not even dating nobody. What is you doing? I was
pressure.
like, do not do that. Enjoy your 20s. Please do not marry your 20s. Please do not marry.
Nobody you date in the 20s, don't marry them.
Yeah, I had an ex who had like a certain timeline that she had to be on, like, and I always thought it was so weird. Like, she's like, I want to have kids by 25. I want to have my second kid at 27, and I want to be married somewhere in the middle. And I never, I guess, connected it to, I guess, their, I guess, thought of desirability. Like, my window is closing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that was actually a part of, I guess, the what needs to be fixed in all of this.
Mhm.
I never even saw it as an issue.
I mean, and whether we have sex to procreate or not, sex and procreation are definitely intertwined. I mean, even body shape is about procreation. The hip to waist ratio, occurring in the wild, the hip to waist ratio is a marker of fertility, like it really is. What makeup, like our lips are subconscious markers of our vaginal lips. For asses on men's asses, like rounder, more firm asses, are actually seen as having more thrusting power, therefore being able to impregnate women more. So like even longer penises able to hit the cervix more, and the thought process is that able to, they're more fertile. Like, so these are things like that are subconsciously part of who we are, like just naturally. These are the more animalistic parts of ourselves. But I do think that humans should kind of progress past basic instinct as well. So our sex is very much intertwined with how we view aging and how we view fertility. But I do think that, being sexy beyond the time you can drop a kid should happen, and does happen.
I agree, but how do you actively resist that thought process when like everything, like
I'm
literally
never
everything-
aging,
never, you're a
never
vampire.
aging.
I know you're a vampire. You drink the same blood
I'm
forever.
57 years old.
Just stop giving a fuck. Smoke some weed.
I'm
Live your life.
57 years
Live
old.
your best life. Not just live your life. Live your best life. Like, you just can't care about what society says anymore.
And stop
Look at
drinking.
society.
That
I mean,
destroys
look
your
at
DNA.
society.
What you say, Kyla?
Drinking destroys DNA. So it does. Drinking destroys your DNA.
One thing I had read this week was an article. I don't know if y'all know this article called "Uses of the Erotic" by Audre Lorde. I was reading it earlier this week.
I know Audre Lorde, yes.
Yeah, definitely read "Uses of the Erotic." You can just Google PDF of it, and it's basically talking about how women being historically sexually repressed kind of mitigates their ability to pursue pleasure
Be
and
their
life.
best self.
What'd you say?
Be their best self.
Basically, yeah. It's like, so what her main argument is, if women were allowed to fully embrace their erotic and see the fullest extent of their pleasure, they would incorporate that into every facet of their life. It wouldn't just be confined to the bedroom. It would touch everything. And I said, again, I was like, I don't think niggas be embracing their erotic either. Like, I think men just like, most men, because whenever I try to have conversations about intimacy in relationships, like, niggas look at me sideways every single time. But like, it's so wild. This is, again, I think this is where our sexual repression, our misogyny, whatever that hurts ourselves. When men go into the bedroom sexually repressed as well, we can't please y'all properly. And then you get these stories of this whole narration of like women take 10 years to come, but like niggas take like 5 minutes. That whole shit like that. Or like, you know, niggas say you gotta press this button and twist this nipple, lick this booty hole, whatever like that for women to come. But to do, you just gotta touch them a good time. And it's like, if you were in embracing your sensual self, like if you were just in tune with like your whole sexual being, that will come out into every woman that you decide to have a relationship with. And the fact that you're actively resisting that, like you don't realize how life could be as far as sex, you know, as far as intimacy in general. Like you don't realize how good life could be if you just embrace that part of yourself. So like, but again, like with everything constantly telling us how we should be functioning, how we should be moving, how you should move around men, how men should move around women. Like I just don't know how you. Well, I know I practice it, but like I don't know how you stay good when everything's trying to throw you off into that, following the whole line of dressing properly as a woman, quote unquote, or as a man trying to press a woman every time you get the chance, quote unquote. Like just how do you just actively resist every day when social media, when even the news, when family members, everybody's trying to tell you how to live your life, and you're just like, no. Like, is there any particular practices other than weed? Because we said weed like 12 times a night. Is there anything other than weed that y'all use?
I would say, you know, you are your own person. Start defining stuff for yourself. People just listen to society and go with it. And I'm just like, why? When you can question everything, and you should question everything. But yoga really helps me in meditation.
I feel like people question themselves more than they question damn near anything that's presented to them.
I mean, you should question yourself too. That opens a world
I feel like to a point where it's damaging. You know what I mean?
In a negative way.
People are not very self-aware, and so they just constantly, like, instead of searching for the right answer, they just say, "I don't have the right answer," and so
I think there's peace in not having the right answer, but I think, you know, like that's how I feel about religion. You know, I don't have the answer, and I'm okay with that. But I do want to touch on what Audre Lorde said about, you know, being sexually repressed and how that frees you when you're not sexually repressed. I have a really interesting relationship with sex. I'm not gonna put y'all in all of my business. I was a virgin for a long time, but I was a little horny virgin, which was very weird. But I was very book smart about sex. Like I read about sex. I was very interested in this thing. And when I did finally have it, I wanted to know about it. But then there was this part of me that was very interested in it. And then there was a part of me that was religious and said, no, you can't have this. So my body was saying, yes, I want it. But, you know, the possibility of going to heaven or hell, whatever. And ironically, my mother is not religious. So I didn't have this growing up that sex was considered bad in terms of a religious thing, but it was kind of, sex was still not something that we talked about. It wasn't something that I couldn't do. It was something that I shouldn't do. And I will give her that, you know, wasn't something that, you know, versus other parents were like, you should, you know, you can't have sex. It was, you shouldn't do that. Like, you know, and I think for her, she was very afraid about me losing my virginity before I got married because she was afraid that I was going to go crazy. Jokes on her, I did. No. But as I I grew up, right? Again, learning about sex, right? I can have multiple orgasms almost every time I have sex. So, my sexual experience is different. But even in that context, it's not everybody I have sex with. There is an emotional aspect to me having this, orgasmic, experience with somebody, and not saying that I couldn't, have sex with somebody and not necessarily have a feeling towards them, but it does enhance it. It does make it a different thing, and where I can go a long time without having sex. But if I'm having sex with somebody, I'm having sex every day. We're doing it. I remember early 2020, I was having sex with someone and I wasn't having the type of sex I wanted to have. I wasn't having sex where I felt like my boundaries were respected. And I told myself, I said, I will no longer, at that point in my life, I will no longer be having service-oriented sex. I will no longer have sex where I am not allowed the same active participation that my partner is allowed. And this is, I'm in my 30s, coming to this realization, because I know that so many women can attest to the fact that we are, innocent bystanders in our own sexual experiences a lot of the time. And we aren't even, considering, hey, like I can have boundaries, because we're not allowed to experience a black or white. You're either, a vixen or a virgin. Like, you can't be somebody who really enjoys sex and yet has boundaries. You're not allowed to be both. And then women are taught to have sex for men's pleasure. Men are taught to have sex for men's pleasure. And then it is something to be said about having a partner that is very, very much into pleasing you as much as you are into pleasing them, and how great that feels. Like, person I'm having sex with, God bless him, he doesn't have many redeeming qualities, but that is one of them. But one of the things is, like, he's very into pleasing me as a partner, and so the sex we have is astronomical, because I'm having sex with somebody who realizes if there's another person in the room. And I think, even to, Audre Lorde's point, like, for me, it's about how much I think about me as a Black woman. I settle for less outside of the bedroom, and didn't connect until you say it. And it's true. Like, even now, I'm like, okay, yeah, like, no, I'm not finna do that. No, I'm not. I don't. That's and because part of knowing your worth is knowing what you're not worth as well. So I will say that there is that coming over, but allowing yourself to be like, I love fucking. I'll fuck all day if I could. But I have boundaries when I fuck. And I wanna maintain those boundaries, because those boundaries are there to keep me safe. And anybody that doesn't respect what you've put in order to keep you safe doesn't want you to be safe. So and that's just in life in general. I'm sorry, I'm long-winded.
No, listen, I love everything you just said. It was so mind-blowing. Is like, I know so many women who are in their late 20s, early 30s who feel that exact same way, of like just coming to the realization of, like, I'm not settling. First of all, the fact that I still knew women in their 30s still faking orgasms, that shit's fucking wild.
I don't think I'm dead ass serious. If I have ever faked the orgasm, I don't know if I don't remember. But so I'm all the listeners, I'm gonna tell you how to have an orgasm. And actually, I literally posted about, like, on my Instagram today, like, when you come 5 times and he asks if you want to go again, Kegels. Do your Kegels.
That's right. Listen.
Do your Kegels while you're having sex. Do them while you're having sex. It's like milking a fucking cow. You do. An orgasm is literally a rush of blood to your genitalia on the inside, and that's what you're working out. That's why working out, you have better orgasms, because your blood is flowing more. And then apple juice. Apple juice is full of phytoestrogens, and it helps with lubrication as well as arousal. You're welcome.
I didn't know that.
I know the apple juice part. I can tell you about the
I'm a horny nerd. I'm a horny nerd.
I'm all here for the facts.
I'm a horny nerd.
And again, these are like exercises that men can incorporate as well. Because like as someone who recently became multi-orgasmic again myself, like when you realize
Congrats.
that you can just, no, I'm telling you, like, because I'm so glad you brought this up. I went for the longest in my early 30s, so it's like I'm just a one and done kind of guy. Like you might get two if you give me like an hour, so, so you might get two.
I've never had anybody
Oh my gosh.
I've never had a man multi-orgasm.
Yes,
It's like a Loch Ness monster. It's like a unicorn. I mean, also, you know, people I've been with, they've never had somebody who's,
that's
you know,
but I'm telling you, a lot of men just tell ourselves like that's just where we at now. Because I'm older now, so I'm just going one nut bust out of here. But like when you just again just get in tune with your erotic and sensual self, and just constant practices of self pleasure, constantly, knowing that you deserve pleasure at all times, not just in the bedroom. I'm telling you, you can be out here like a porn star, but that takes learning that, I guess. I don't know. Does anybody else want to talk about their sex life other than me and Kyla here?
I feel like men just don't want to get in touch with their femininity. They don't want to be vulnerable. Like that whole side of them is just like guarded, blocked off, and they don't want to deal with it. They think that's just all women. And it's like, no, you have to have a balance. Everybody has to have a balance.
But is that like a feminine trait or just vulnerability in itself?
No,
But I love
everybody
a
should possess
vulnerable
masculinity and femininity, and they don't
Vulnerable.
understand that.
But I think their vulnerability it could be very much gender neutral, but we're taught that emotions are only a female thing. And so I think that's, you know, it's like men are only allowed certain emotions, and anger, because anger is power.
Yeah.
Happiness, you know, in a certain context. And, you know, they're not even allowed sadness. I don't know. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think I agree. Like sadness is seen as weakness. Like, bitch, I'm sad. Like, what the fuck? And women are allowed to be sad. Like women, I will say women are allowed a bit more fluidity in anything that we do, including like sexuality. We're allowed, you know, to be more androgynous. We're allowed to be, and I will say that for sure. But yeah, I think men are only allowed certain emotions, and so that's what the vulnerability is like. That's why we associate vulnerability with being a woman, is because men are vulnerable as fuck. Like, you know, they are. I mean, shit, if men weren't vulnerable people, they wouldn't be snapping every 5 minutes and shooting shit up, you know. But they're only taught that,
yeah. And that's probably why intimacy might be kind of hard for them.
I don't think that men were built to consider women sexually, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because men can be mean to you and still want to fuck you. And not saying that women can't, but it's a different feel. Like, you know, unless you're on some dominatrix shit, you know, but men can be mean to you and still expect sex from you. This boy caught himself trying to holler at me. And he was like, and we actually talked about changing of last names. And so he was like, the only way I would allow my wife to keep her last name, bitch, is if she had like multiple degrees, or if she had a pre-established brand. And then he proceeds to tell me a pre-established brand, what a pre-established brand was, as if I was some fawn learning the new earth. And then after having a very contemptuous conversation where we were, you know, just like, he proceeds to talk about, hey, can I whip my dick out on this FaceTime? And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I guess. And I'm a deer in headlights. And I'm like, is this happening? Like, because I'm like, one, this is our very first conversation on the phone. And two, we were just having a moment of contempt. And you still were like, but fucking, you know, like, fucking.
I will say, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I will say, first of all, that's gross as fuck. I don't know what's up with with the niggas just pulling dicks out still in 2022.
They love doing it.
They're bold. They're very bold.
I don't get it. I just
I'm trying to,
that's
I'm
their
trying to
We
figure it
don't
out.
get it. We
That's
don't
their
get
thing.
it.
That's their thing.
I will admit.
No,
no,
we get it in our inbox. I'm one.
Yeah.
you get all of it.
Mhm.
I will admit to this. I didn't fully believe that until my homegirl had showed me like her DM like thread of like a
I
normal
got a dick pic the other day. Dick vid. They've
dick
upgraded.
pic. Oh, was it at least
Dick vid.
HD? Was it
They've
iPhone?
upgraded now. I didn't even watch. I was not interested in watching. I have never, ever in my life received an unsolicited dick pic. That I was like, ooh, I have to stop what I'm
Right.
doing
I
and
just
jump on that dick. Except for one time, but it was a dick I was already jumping on. So it didn't count. It didn't count. Hey,
it's like
Mom.
we have an understanding. We have an
Yeah.
understanding.
I just
If
don't.
I don't know you,
logic. I don't understand the
mom.
logic. It's just so.
we don't understand the logic.
Like, what are you trying to achieve? Like,
Achieve pussy. They're trying to achieve this pussy.
And it does the exact opposite. And that's what we're trying to tell you. And they still do it anyway. And it's just like, all right, whatever.
This guy was on that and like he was like, yeah, and I was like, what do you do for a living? He was like, I'm a photographer. And I said, what else do you do for a living? I'm a professor. I said, so you think you're the first nigga that's ever been in my inbox or on my phone talking about their dick? How about you talk about something intelligent? I know you have a penis. I'm completely aware. Tell me things about yourself I don't know.
But do you know how the peen looks? That's
like
don't care. I like legitimately don't care. I've never stopped a sexual experience because the penis was bigger or smaller than I anticipated. Like I've never been like, oh God, I can't do this now. Like, no, like I see a challenge. I'm gonna try.
Right.
Now afterwards, I'm like, yeah, that's not
for me.
Going back. Hey, listen, tell your mom I said hey. Thank you for the chocolates, but this is not gonna work. But I had never seen a dick, and I'm like, yeah, like dicks aren't cute. Dicks are not cute to me, and I like dick. I know that everybody thinks I'm bisexual or lesbian, but I like dick, unfortunately. But I'm not like, oh, let me look at a picture of dick today.
Oh, it's so attractive. No,
I don't want to see no picture of no dick. I don't want to see no picture of that shit. Like I said, there's only one time I've ever stopped what the fuck I was doing to fuck that, and then I was already doing the dick. I was already I had already had a lease out on that dick.
A lease.
I had a couple years lease on it, so
like I said, those niggas are gross. But I was gonna say earlier that I think it's different. It's different, but niggas will tell you that women will be in a whole ass fight with you and be super mean to you, and then immediately be like, "But you want to see the titties, or you want to get this pussy back?" Maybe it's different. Maybe it's a different dynamic, but women definitely do that too. I've experienced.
Not saying they don't, but I do think that there's there's levels. Like niggas could just be outright just mean and hurtful and like shit. I know I mentioned I was in a domestic violence relationship. That nigga was mean. That nigga beat my ass once and then it was upset that I didn't want to fuck him. Like, nigga, you just whooped me. Like, what the fuck?
That was like turn.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I've been in the same situation.
That's wild, yeah.
Is this real?
Like, I am not turned on. I'm not attracted to you. I don't even want to.
And I have a high libido, but I was. You're not finna whoop my ass and then fuck me.
I guess there must be some kind of connection between like them exerting their power,
yeah, absolutely,
and then like just being horny.
And so that's the thing too. But like, right, like when men are taught that it's about power, everything is about power. That I don't need to be intimate. I don't need to be soft. I don't need to be delicate because that's not how power works. Like
they think a dominatrix, like I need to be the dominant one, like putting it down, like okay.
Okay, that was a look.
Like a friend of mine said that straight people think sex is only real if there's a penis involved. And I was like,
absolutely, including in maybe.
Yo, that's crazy.
For the longest, everybody
like how we don't think of lesbians as having sex because the phallus is a symbol of power, and that's why gay men are like, it's too much power, y'all fight it, and women are, there's no power there, so it's all soft and delicate and pretty. There's no power.
Maybe this is a conversation for another podcast, but I think straight men don't even realize how much a lot of us hold so much power to the penis as well. 1,000%. Is Mama kicking us off?
Where are your glasses? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Go get your glasses. Go, you can't wait like 10 more minutes.
This is the last question right here.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up like
held me captive.
And you went in your room, Karen. Get out of here, Karen. Get Karen. That's your real name. That's her real name. That's funny. She said we got 10. She feeds me right until I go back to work next month. So I have to be nice until February 2nd. Then I can be like, get out of here for real. I don't like you.
And then move back in next week.
Listen, been trying to get rid of me since March. So
I appreciate y'all. I had one last question, and maybe I think it's a good question to end on. With everything that's been said tonight, and I'm not sure how I want to check in with how Will's feeling about how everything he heard, everything. But do y'all believe, because I had into a debate with a friend of mine about this, do y'all believe men can be feminists?
Yeah.
Think so?
Yeah.
She said no because I don't want to misquote her. It was about it wouldn't be authentic because we don't go through what y'all go through, and therefore we could never know that, both struggle and joy, because we can't know that firsthand. I might be misquoting her. I don't want to say her name because she might be calling me up after this episode I didn't say that, motherfucker. But it was something to the effect that we can never embody what it feels like to be a woman, so how can we be a feminist?
Activism doesn't need benefit to be active.
That's what I thought.
I mean,
I don't need to benefit something to be an activist for it. I can be an activist for children. Doesn't mean I'm not an advocate for children.
That's like Black Lives Matter and white people going to protest with us. You see what I'm saying? They still understand a part of what we go through. She just contradicted herself.
I agree. I wish maybe I can bring on another episode and we just have the whole talk about that.
Or maybe we didn't get the full grasp of what she was.
Probably not. I'm sure I didn't give her the full, her full argument justice. But yeah, Will, how you feeling, man? You feel beat up yet? You feel you
I'll say this. I don't know if I'll ever be a feminist. Probably not, if I'm just being honest.
Why is that?
But I can support the things that are important to Black women and the things that they say are happening to them. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a struggle. I guess coming to grips with the realities that they face. You know what I mean? Because for so long you think that, or you're taught that these things aren't happening, or you're not hearing the stories about them happening, or whatever. I guess the world teaches you to somewhat ignore them or refute their stories or whatever. And so just breaking down those things that you're taught is extremely difficult, but I've been growing. It's a noticeable growth.
How many inches?
You own it. Yeah, man, it's like I said, it's a noticeable growth, but I don't know if I'll ever consider myself a feminist, because I seriously.
You don't have to. I mean, is it more important for the label or the contents?
Yeah, just get it done. It'll get done.
Yeah, I mean, if you are actively trying to pursue change that doesn't benefit you but does benefit women, which actually benefits you, then you are, because I think that's one of the things too, is I wrote a status that went kind of Black Twitter got it and Facebook got it. It was and it was when men leave work, they're off work. When men get home, they're off work. When women get home, they're back at work. And they were like, "What? You hate men?" I was like, I don't, but having a partner that feels like she's respected and feels like you're in the same, boat. And I don't want to say help because you can't help in your own house, but it feels like you both are cohesively making something work. That's a healthier relationship. That's a healthier partnership. That's somebody who loves you that much more, somebody who wants to be with you that much more. And so men don't see the benefits that way. Like you have happier kids because their parents are getting along better. I didn't mean to again. I'm sorry. I'm bad at that.
You completely fine. That I think it's just, like I said, like when you say stuff on social media, and then we so often speaking absolutes on social media, like everything just is lost in translation, and people either are 100% on board or they go straight to deflecting, and there's very little times you can actually have a dialogue. And like you already said, Kyla, like it's all in lies in where your politics and where your morals stand. Like Bell Hooks said that as well too. She said, we live in an age where anybody can call themselves anything. I think this is why me and Will don't really align ourselves with Black Lives Matter. I don't ever remember me and Will ever really saying like Black Lives Matter anywhere, because we learned a long time ago doing protests, niggas will say Black Lives Matter and then fuck these Black women. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit has happened many a time. Or Black Lives Matter.
Black Panthers, like he had a whole excerpt in his book about raping Black women, as practice to rape white women. Like, what?
Listen, it's fucking wild. I've just learned that a long time ago. Like anybody can call themselves anything. And then again, that goes back to feminism, where it seems like a lot of women can jump online and be like, I wish all men would die. Go feminism. And niggas is like, see, I told you, feminists hate us. Like it's a whole.
There's extremists on at every turn. I never want to outsource the tools of my oppressor. Never want to do that.
Exactly.
So.
We appreciate y'all. Anybody got any final thoughts or anything before we get into the whole section where we just let y'all shout out whatever y'all got going on?
I got your friend request, but I'm at 5,000. Tamiya, but I got you.
Oh, your friend request. You're so funny. I was like, yeah, I have to find her. She's funny.
Some nigga died for that friend request. She deleted somebody for you. So whoever it was.
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna do that for you actually, because
thank you.
Okay, no, wait, I'm wrapping up, ma'am. We saying taglines. We leaving.
Yeah, go ahead.
Guys, for this open conversation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we appreciate
it. Was great. I loved it. I'll have you back.
I would love to. We would definitely love to. Thank y'all so very much. Is there anything you want to promote before y'all dip out? Or
my Instagram is Kyla Jenée Lacey. So it's my TikTok. KYLA Lacey. My Twitter is Kyla _Lacey, because Kyla J Lacey got put in jail too many times. And then my Facebook is my whole name, Kyla Jenée Lacey. Beautiful. So, and my website is That's Right Kyla, but right is WRITE. That's Right Kyla.
Super.
So is my Cash App. So is my Cash App. Okay, I'm done.
Tamiya, you got
I love it. Of course, the podcast I'm on, the Hilltop Glove podcast. You guys can follow that. My Instagram, Maya_Baya. That was my nickname, so I just kept it for Instagram. Facebook, my full name, Tamiya Allen. I do photography, videography, modeling, visual art, anything creative. I'm pretty much down. So
all the stuff
linked up.
Oh, I do accent walls, and they're pretty cool, and they've gone viral. My Tetris wall.
I was waiting for you to be.
I be forgetting I do that. Like I want to pick up a new hobby today. So,
right.
Yeah, I do really cool accent walls.
So I need a black man.
So if you're in Orlando or Atlanta, I can, or if you want to
Orlando or Atlanta. Dang, you're not in Columbia?
Now, if you want to fly me out, now I'll be in Columbia. If you want to pay for the distance, make it happen.
She's like, I'll get back to you on that. But thank y'all so much.
And I perform at colleges. I do a one-woman show. I performed over 300 colleges. I perform at colleges. That's important.
Oh wow, that's cool. Amazing.
She's performed at all of the like over 200 some colleges, right?
Yeah, it's close about 300. I do a one-woman show of comedy, poetry, and storytelling. So mostly poetry, but a little bit of all of it. So
I can tell you firsthand, one of the best poets to ever graze the mic in these southern states. Like she kills it every single time. People love her. She shoots at the crowd, as you can see. She literally kills people.
Air guns. My mom was there. You remember my mom came in?
Yes. It was the whole family.
My roll dog. Okay. I'm gonna go because she's Ma, please do not leave me. I'm gonna go because she's gonna buy me something to eat. So in the end, I don't go back to work till February 2nd. So I'm not gonna miss this meal. Thank you for having me. It was great. I love meeting all of y'all. I mean, again, Mike, but okay, I'm gonna go. All right.
Okay, bye. Nice
Bye. Nice meeting you.
Thank you so much, y'all. We'll see y'all. What is it? Every other week. Y'all know how we get down. We getting these Euphoria reviews popping. And tomorrow, if you want to be part of these little review things, because we do reviews on Patreon.
Oh, okay, cool.
You want to hop in?
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, we gotta. Especially this season 2 premiere was fucking nuts.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it though.
Oh shit, you're gonna be in for it, boy. I tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't know if you have a therapist, but get a quick therapy session real quick.
Okay.
Get some
And
weed.
go.
You know you do that.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, get your life together because it felt like the season finale. Really, it's so much shit happened.
Oh wow. Okay.
So much shit
All
happened.
right, I'm gonna check it out.
Please do. But yeah, thank you so much for coming through.
No problem. So, like, when does this air and everything?
This is gonna air. Well, by the time we post this up, it's gonna be Tuesday. God, you would put me on the spot, wouldn't you?
Math.
Tuesday the 18th. What'd you say?
I said 7 days minus 2.
Okay.
I don't know why I did it like that.
Yeah, too much fun.
All right.
Yeah, we'll post it up. I'll send you
Cool.
the link and everything.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
All
You
right, peace.
too. And
All right,
thank
bye.
y'all, beautiful people out there, for watching us once again. Cultivate ignorance. She's been lit. We love y'all. I love y'all. We'll hate y'all. I love y'all. Peace.
Facts.